Has nothing to do with yelling, although I did yell a little bit. It had more to do with an upper respiratory deal. So, but y'all go ahead, guys.
I feel like you've learned about your group this spring during the course of the practices.
I mean, I think we got some young guys that are extremely talented. You know, we need to work on consistency. You know, we'll have one period where we look really good, and we'll have one where we don't. And I think that just comes with reps, because we do have some new pieces out there. But very excited about the overall energy people bring. The leadership has been really good. People getting on to people, correcting, taking coaching is huge. And so really unique group. I know they're young, but they're excited to show what they can do.
It's a young receiving room, obviously. At boundary receiver on the outside, who beyond Trader and Daniels do you feel like I can put in a game, play a lot of snaps, and we'll be able to win with? Is there anyone else in that boat right now outside receiver positions?
Well, we got a long way to go. And so I'm not talking about at that position. I'm talking about before we get on the field. But honestly, watching guys play, I mean, all those guys have made plays in practice. And so making plays at practice is a little different than making plays in the game. I mean, Nye's been here a while. You know, he made a couple plays today. Josh Moore's been pretty consistent throughout camp. Dalen Upshaw's been consistent. Hopefully when we get to that point where we got to play with the lights on, we have 4 or 5 guys that can make plays out there.
And slot with Ray and Malachi. How is that battle? Are they very comparable, you think, in ability?
I think they're more similar than they are different. You know, you look at them and they kind of look alike and they move around alike. And so Ray's just been here a long time. You know, he's been 2 years and taking reps and all the rest. Now, I do think it's, you know, I feel comfortable with both of those guys, really, you know.
What have been your biggest takeaways on the tight end room with a good mix of some experience and some youth in that group?
Just that. I mean, we have the ability to go a number of personnel groupings. You know, I mean, if we can get in 12 and 13 and really get in any set we want to get into, not that we would do that all the time, but we have the ability to do that, you know. And so, you know, but it's a fairly deep position. I mean, the difference, you know, I mean, Lofton's been here for a little bit. Now he's, you know, it's hard to think about him as an older guy, but he kind of is, because he's taking a lot of reps. And so, you know, we have some, much like the receiver room, we got some talented young guys that show spurts of, hey, but then the consistency pops up every now and again, right? And that's, experience is the only thing that matters when it comes to consistent play. You know, you're not going to be a consistently good player until you've taken so many reps where it just comes natural to you. And those new guys are just in that situation where, in the way the summer is organized now, it's easier to get young guys ready to play because you do more football. Used to, it was harder because you did less football.
Who do you think's progressed the most just over the course of, you know, from the start of practice to now?
You know, I would reserve answering that based on just, we've had a handful of guys that have done really well. And so I'm not going to sit here and point out one guy. But I'm very pleased with the group. Now, we got a long way to go, but I do think their attitude and effort is high. The one thing about our guys right now is they do come to play every day, and their attitude is very, very good. To me, that's really all I care about at this point. I think the football part will come, but as far as praising people in the media, I'm not quite ready to do that yet. I hope everybody understands that.
You learned about Carson Beck, just your time being around him this spring.
Well, a couple things. I mean, his football IQ is really high. He's played a lot of football. And so when you talk to him about plays or the regurgitation of plays and in the meeting room, you can tell he's played a lot of football. And also that his personality comes out over time. You know, he's a guy that once you spend a lot of time around him and get to know him, he's a fun guy to be around. His personality comes out, not necessarily at first, but as time goes, and you can see it now, his rapport with the group and his interaction is, I like watching people ingrained in the group like that. I think it's very interesting to me. And so he's done a really good job of building relationships with people in a fast way, because it has to happen. And so.
With him out, you've had a chance to put a lot of development time into the other guys.
Yeah.
Beat the tax deadline with experts by your side. File with unlimited tax help. Plus, get a final review.
Position. Can you just give us an assessment of where you feel you are at quarterback?
You know, we've had, Emery and Judd and Luke have taken all the reps in the spring. And I've, it was spotty at the beginning a little bit. Emery's been consistent. He's taken a lot of reps. I mean, he's played a lot of football in this offense. And so he's been pretty consistent, obviously, every day. The other two guys, you can see the learning curve from the beginning of spring till now. Like, their last 3 practices have been really, really on point. And there's been some time in between then that was hit or miss, And so I've been pleased with those guys over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, to be honest with you. And their sense of urgency has gotten really high, and we're doing a good job of putting the ball in play, understanding where the trouble is on specific plays, and staying out of negative plays, which is the key when you're a young quarterback, is like being able to decipher the trouble spots in certain concepts.
How has Emery bounced back from the bowl game experience?
Oh, he's been, Emery's got a strong mentality, and so, he didn't play overly great in the bowl, but he didn't play that bad either. He missed probably a couple throws he could make, and so ultimately his mentality is, he's got high confidence in himself.
With Luke, if I remember right, you said earlier in camp that things were moving quickly for him, which makes sense because he's brand new to college. How has maybe the game slowed down for him a little bit over the course of 14 practices?
Well, you can see that over time, reps can, like I said before, reps matter, right? Luke, he has the ability to throw the football at an elite level, and so that helps the learning curve, right? Having high ability. And so, but his overall, like when you first get somewhere and you're a quarterback, it's like learning a new language. When you learn a new language, it doesn't necessarily come instinctive when you're rattling things off in the huddle and you have to communicate non-verbally and verbally. And so as time goes on, you can see how those instincts start clicking. And so the plays run a little smoother as far as communication. Communication is the hardest part to get over as a young quarterback, is to learn, okay, this is the flow of the offense as far as verbiage goes. And then having the ability to get out and not even call the play, but like you might have to signal a different play. You might have to signal a different route to a receiver. And doing all that within a 15-second window after you break the huddle, like that's the process. And so the last week and a half of that has been really smooth with him. You can see how it was, up and down a little bit at first, and now it's pretty consistent play from him.
Life's aloft, couple more aloft. Just everything that he's able to do as a coordinator. What's the challenges or excitement level for you to come up with different ways? He's such a unique guy.
With him, honestly, like I don't even think about, hey, these are the plays that get him the ball, really. Those, obviously I have like a couple ways he's gonna get the ball. But with him, the quarterback typically finds the better players. That's just the way it happens in our offense. And so the ball finds him pretty routinely. Quarterbacks look for him. And so he's a guy that makes plays every day. You put him in the backfield and he ran a 30-yard touchdown. The kid is a very unusual kid. Like, he can do a lot of things, and his capacity is really high. And so you're lucky to have him, and we're going to utilize him in every way possible.
In what ways did you see JoJo Trader take a step this spring?
Say that again.
In what ways did you see JoJo Trader take a step this spring?
With him, probably just taking ownership of, hey, it's my time. Because I think that was part of the deal, is like when a young kid, especially receiver, comes in and you got older kids, kind of taking a back seat isn't the right approach a lot of times. And so now he's taking that ownership of that role. And so you see a different level of energy from him on a day-to-day basis. When it's your time, it's your time. And there's a big difference between being a backup and a role guy and being the dude, and so just his overall sense of who he is on this team and confidence is probably the biggest difference.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it, guys.